We're catching up with a gentleman who has just completed a fantastic voyage from the USA to here in Japan. Meet Mr. Doug Smith. How you doing, Doug?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Welcome to the show.
Thanks.
Tell us a little bit about what you did, a little bit about your trip first, and then we'll get into some questions after that.
All right, well, the trip was a non-stop, unassisted sailing trip from San Diego, USA, to Onahama in Fukushima, Japan. We originally planned 60 days for it and managed to do it in 54.
And why did you do this, Doug?
Well, this is actually the continuation of a story that happened 6 years ago when a blind sailor tried to sail from Fukushima to San Diego, and 6 days into that voyage hit a whale and sank.
Oh.
And so he had been looking for an opportunity to challenge again and got connected with me. And so that's the...
Wait a minute, you said he was a blind man?
Yes, and still is.
And he still is. And you were sailing together with him. How does that work?
Good question. So obviously when we're docking or we're in a busy waterway, I'm at the helm. But once we're offshore or away from other boats, he's able to sail by one feel, the direction of the sun on his face, the wind, the angle, the attitude of the boat, plus with applications that enunciate, which say your compass heading is this, the wind direction is that, between a feeling, a physical feeling, and then the information he can get from the applications, he's able to sail the boat.
And that is amazing. How did you meet this gentleman? His name is Iwamoto-san?
Right,
is that right?
Hiro Iwamoto, yes.
How did you meet him?
Well, so I don't know if you're familiar with TEL, Tokyo English Lifeline, but they have an auction, a wine auction every year. And then one year they added experiences to the auction mix, and one of those experiences was a day sailing. So I bid on that and won that with Per Knudsen, who's a member of the club here, and it was beautiful. And I said, "This is nice. I really like this. I might enjoy sailing."
So that was your first trip out to sail?
Yeah, not my first time on a sailboat, but first time in quite a long time. And I said, well, this is really nice. I said, would there be other opportunities to go sailing with people? Maybe someone's going to Hawaii or something like that. And the next time I heard from him, he said, I have a friend, a person I know, who would like to sail across the Pacific. Maybe you'd want to meet him. And so I met Hiro here at the club, December 2016.
Okay. And
we had lunch. And basically the lunch ended with me saying, well, I know how to see and you know how to sail, so let's do this. And do this is to challenge again on this crossing.
What a brave project to take on such an endeavor, to go all the way from where? San Diego, as you mentioned, to here in Japan. That's a long, as you said, 60-day trip, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It was a big project. And the way I thought about it was more like a moonshot. So I was in charge of preparing the rocket and like mission control, and he was going to be the lead astronaut. So that was December 2016. We met here. Then I started researching what would be appropriate boat. Found something, luckily, because there aren't that many, in San Diego in April of 2017. Bought the boat.
Had to be an ocean-going vessel.
Yeah,
right.
A 40-foot cutter, and then started actually learning to sail in June of that year. So between the time bought the boat and we arrived in Japan, it was almost exactly 2 years and about 18 months since I learned began to learn to sail. So it was
Truly,
very condensed.
What an amazing trip. I'm kind of curious to know what you guys did along the way to keep yourselves entertained. Did you have music? Did you I guess you didn't have TV or anything like that, or did you have a pool table in the bottom of the boat?
Yeah, those things would have been nice. I mean, the reality is Hiro spent a lot of time actually with the blog. Both telephoning to his sister, a blog that she would then write up, also doing a lot of videoing for later to show people. And we spent a lot of time, the first couple of weeks when we didn't have particularly good wind, just kind of trying to figure out what's the best sail combination to keep moving in the way we want to move.
The doldrums?
Yeah, well, I mean, it shouldn't have been, but lower wind than we expected. So there wasn't as much free time as one would expect. Once things kind of got settled down, we got into better wind, I spent some of my free time reading books, and some of it just kind of enjoying stepping out of time, out of the world, because you're out there and there's no information, there's no news coming in, there's no other people, there's no other boats once you're far enough out. I mean, you're really kind of stepping out of time.
No internet, no Wi-Fi, nothing like that?
No.
Wow. So what about food? How did you prepare food and water? Were you distilling water on the ship?
No, everything that we had for the trip was loaded onto the boat when we left San Diego. So we had 200 gallons of water, 135 gallons of fuel. And then for food, we had freeze-dried food from a Japanese maker, and also rice that comes in packs. You can pour hot water in it, seal it up again.
Sure.
15 minutes later, it's cooked. So, and then the freeze-dried food was everything from miso soup to pasta, to different noodles, Japanese-style noodles like numen and the like. And it's really good food, and because it's freeze-dried, nutritious, is very light, and it also gave us flexibility because if he was hungry, he could get what he wanted to eat and fix it, and so we didn't have to try to combine. It also helped us because refrigeration takes a lot of electricity.
Sure.
And not having to use the refrigerator was helpful. And the reality is, even if we wanted to run the refrigerator the whole time, fresh food after 2 or 3 weeks, it ain't so fresh anyway.
Right.
So.
Did you supplement your diet with fresh fish or anything like that? Did you go fishing off the side of the boat?
Someone gave us a fishing set, and we decided we weren't going to use it, mainly because it just introduced a level of risk, right? I mean, if you hook yourself, if you get the fish on board and then get bitten, if you catch something that's too big to eat and refrigerate, it's a waste. If it's too small, and then we have equipment off the back of the boat, the stern. One is a hydro generator. It goes in the water, and the motion of the boat through the water creates electricity.
Sure.
So if you catch like a larger fish and just thrashing around the back, anyway, it just presented too much of a risk, so we didn't. We waited to get our sushi upon arrival in Japan. So.
What about problems? Did you have any problems or troubles along the way? Something that created maybe an emergency or anything like that?
Yeah, not so much an emergency. Our biggest trouble initially was like a lack of wind, and that's just tough. And people say, well, I would think it's like heavy wind that's a problem. No, because heavy wind, we can make the sail smaller, we can adjust our angle, we can do different things. If you don't have wind, you don't have wind.
Okay.
So that can be, you struggle to make the progress that you can, but it can get tiring after a while.
Sure.
In terms of stuff, we didn't really have any major issues. We just had things that, because you're out there bouncing around for weeks on end, like a connection for the alternator came loose. Our AIS, which kind of sends a signal to people saying, hey, we're here, and allows us to see them on our chart plotter, that had a problem. The propane gas, the electric for the solenoid, this electric switch that allows the gas to run, broke, and without that we don't have hot water to put into our fancy freeze-dried food.
So you did have a few problems along the way.
Yeah, and we had a couple of problems. The hydro generator, but it's all stuff we managed to fix. So nothing that we couldn't deal with.
Oh, that's good. When we're happy that you're safe. No rainstorms or thunderstorms or anything like that along the way?
No, I mean, part of planning a journey like this is to avoid extreme weather. And
Sure.
that's why, I mean, there's really only January through the end of April is really the only period of time where you can safely be in the Pacific Ocean, North Pacific Ocean, without concern of hurricanes or typhoons. So that's really kind of what drove the timing of the trip. Having said that, coming up, northwest to Japan, we had a total of 5 cold fronts and 5 low pressure systems, including one major gale that had developed. So we had some pretty significant weather, but the boat and we were up to that challenge. So.
I heard you mention a little bit earlier that you were shooting video and you were writing blogs. So are you planning to make a National Geographic special or anything like a Thor Heyerdahl special or anything like that?
Well, when I say we, it was really Hiro who was taking the lead on doing that. And I didn't feel a need to duplicate it because we were literally on the same boat,
Right.
having the same experience. But it will be, I'm not sure if I can actually say this yet, but it will be an NHK documentary at the end of June.
Well, you didn't say it yet, did you?
So you can cut it out later. And then, Yomiuri Television, who originally sponsored his first attempt,
Right.
covered it live when we wrote. So yeah, and I think he's going to be writing a book.
Wow.
Which will be his second book. So I think there'll be more coverage of it or later in time.
What an amazing partner you had for this fantastic voyage, a blind man who was able to guide the boat while you were asleep, take notes, write a blog, shoot videos, and it's really amazing.
It is.
It really is amazing. I got a handle to you guys. I can't wait to see the television special whenever it comes out.
Right.
We hope you'll let us know. But we also know that you have a speech or you're going to be giving a talk here at the American Club, right?
That's right.
And I guess we'll put the information at the bottom of the screen. So folks, if you would like to, how long will your talk be?
I think it's an hour, but in a good way to, ask us really pointed questions and stuff like that is if you check out voyageofinspiration.com, which is the website.
Voyage of Inspiration.
Inspiration.com.
And that was the name of your trip.
Right. Yeah. You'll see kind of our track on there and pictures in the blog and stuff like that. So that would be, we hope to cover more things in our presentation at the club, but that would be a good way to get familiar with it. But we also hope to take some of the time that we'll have to answer questions from people.
Great idea. Just a few more questions I have for you. What kind of advice would you give to someone who would like to try to duplicate what you've done? I'm sure that you are inspiring some young sailors or some young people who would love to skipper their own ship. What advice would you give to someone?
Okay, well, first I would say voyageofinspiration.com, the intent there is not to inspire people to replicate what we've done or to do crazy things. The idea was to kind of send the message to people. You can be blind and be told your whole life you shouldn't do this, you can't do that, or you have no experience, it'll never work. But if you're determined and you're sensible, you really can make dreams come true.
Oh, well said.
The impossible is attainable, and usually the limitation on that is yourself. It's a fear, it's a doubt. So the inspiration is to inspire people to really try to make the dreams come true, no matter what kind of obstacles or challenges they face. If someone wanted actually to try to replicate this trip again, or do something like that, it's in our case, right, you need a good partner, right?
Two people are okay. Could one person do this trip?
Well, if they're experienced, and I mean, there are a lot of people doing solo circumnavigations in terms of races, but, 2 people is good for a boat because, as one person loosens the line, the other can pull it in. It's a natural, and then it creates more space on the boat. So you certainly want a good partner. You need to find the appropriate boat. A lot of
preparation, I guess.
Yeah, and I think they say, what is the 80-20? It's 80% preparation, 20% execution, just generally in life.
Right.
And the same thing here applies in sailing.
All right.
But also I would say to them, now that I've experienced it once, and I think, it was a great voyage, and I learned a lot, and hopefully it'll inspire people. It's a lot of waves and clouds and concerns, right? I mean, so.
Are you planning another trip?
I think
another challenge?
Well, I mean, at some point I want to get the boat back to the U.S. But that trip would be more of what people might usually do, and frankly, what's a little more sensible is like you bring it from here to Fukushima, then to Hakodate in Hokkaido, and then the Aleutian Islands. Stop by Kodiak, see if you can see some bears. Go down the West Coast, Vancouver, Seattle, Portland, and it kind of stop and enjoy the sites and use your boat as a means to get you to those places that may be not as accessible.
Do you have a partner for that trip yet? Are you
no.
looking for a partner? Is it open? Would you take applicants?
Yeah. I'm certainly open to anyone who wants to do that. I think it'll be the earliest will be next year, because the opportunities, that window of opportunity for the rebound, so to speak, from Japan to the U.S. is really, you have to leave here beginning of June. And it's not going to happen this year. So, but next year at the earliest, yeah. So if someone's interested.
All right, Doug Smith, thank you so very
pleasure.
much for
Thank
taking
you.
time to talk with us here. What an amazing voyage! Of course, we're going to be looking forward to your speech or your talk here at the American Club.
Right.
And again, we have the information on the screen so people can check it out.
Great.
And have a chance to meet you in person.
Right. Yeah, and if people have a chance to check out the website in advance, that would be great as well, voyageofinspiration.com.
All right. Doug
Great.
Smith, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.